Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So talk about some Gartner research. Do you want to introduce yourself first and foremost? Quickly.
I'm Linwood Ross.
Thanks, Linwood.
I'm Mike Garrison.
I'm Rob Durant.
I'm Thomas Ross.
I'm Adam Gray, Tim's business partner.
And I'm Tim Hughes. So we're going to talk about Gartner published a report, which, let me get it in front of me, called Evaluate the Role of B2B Marketing in Account Growth. And luckily, everybody's had a read of that. So do you want to give your go around and give your sort of first views on that?
I'm happy to start.
Yeah, why not?
So reading through it, I at first, I won't deny I went in skeptically because my experience with marketing and really influencing the current client base versus driving new leads, I have a belief that marketing tends to want to cultivate the new. But reading through this, Gartner really provided a roadmap in a couple of different places where marketing can make a significant impact on the existing client's growth. So I'm looking forward to sharing with a couple of those points that I had seen as I had been reading through it.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, why don't you just call us out by name in order?
Okay, yeah, Mike.
Beautiful. That was me jumping the line, Linwood. Sorry, man. Hey, the favorite part that I found was on slide 10, which is why decision confidence works. And I just from my observations out coaching and working with corporations, there is a massive, much higher likely of people going back to status quo after a buyer's journey than I've seen in a long time. And this issue of high decision confidence, the way Gartner framed it, I found to be really valuable from a big picture view for people that lead companies.
Linwood.
The thing that I thought was really interesting about it was actually some of the underlying assumptions that were, in this, which is basically, when we're buying something new or taking on a new solution, there is a fair amount of change, but it seemed like the underlying assumption of the whole premise of this was the context of change, just tremendous change, and that change management really needs to be embedded in almost every aspect of what's happening, as opposed to being something that's happening, but something's being done by HR or a consultant being brought in. Gartner is saying that change management needs to be part and parcel to what marketing is doing, right, which I think is a pretty big change, certainly for marketing. But it's moving marketing more to a place of problem identification, as which is really where I think marketing needs to be. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you. Thomas.
Yeah, I found it really insightful. One of the most interesting points that I took from it was that they found that a customer was just as likely to switch vendors as go with their existing vendor with respect to a big decision, and that blew my rather small mind. So I thought that was very insightful, and we've all experienced this. Customers today, clients, organizations, businesses, groups, leadership groups especially, they are stuck in the mud right up to the neck. And if you add more muck to it, you didn't help. And I tend to think that most organizations today, sales and marketing wise in any case, are just adding more muck. and we need to help clear that out. And that's where the confidence comes in, and that's what that report speaks to. We're not adding confidence, we're adding more money. And you know, the extent of a relationship in any business, which is what we all do, needs to be crazy deep. I mean, the idea that you've got, you know, a couple of few great contacts in a company organization today is ridiculous. That's not going to get you anywhere. You need to have very, very deep relationships and tentacles in businesses, and that's where the confidence can begin.
Thanks, Thomas. So, Adam.
Yeah, well, you know me, always want to kick a bit of sand. I must be honest and say that I generally find reports such as this a source of incredible frustration. And part of that is because of how the questions are caged and delivered. So I always find that these are a bit like they're asking people, and the people that they're asking the questions of are not necessarily people that know the answers. So this is like asking, we asked 100 lemmings whether or not it was a good idea. Will they be throwing themselves off a cliff next year? And 70% said yes. And therefore the market as a whole says, well, therefore the movement is towards throwing ourselves off a cliff. Therefore it's a good idea. And I think this is a fundamentally flawed way of thinking. So Thomas, you highlighted actually one of the things that did come out of this, which was that you were surprised that the vendor is so likely to, the purchaser is so likely to choose a new vendor rather than expand with an existing vendor. And I agree, that was shocking. But actually, when you look at what it says on that particular graph, it says, when addressing a new business need, we are just as likely to select a new supplier as an existing supplier. Strongly agree, 15%, agree, 33%, somewhat agree, 30%. Which means that according to this, 78% think that that's a likelihood, plus 14% neither agree nor disagree. So let's say another 7%. So over 80% of people are likely to switch. That's not what that graph actually says, is it? It says that 15% strongly agree with the statement, which is when addressing a new business need. And I think fundamentally, we've got a situation of the king in his new clothes. Marketing departments, like so many other departments within large enterprises, are at sea. What they're seeing is that the things that they're doing are not working. And this is not an attack on marketing, it's merely an observation. Marketing lists don't yield the same return that they used to. Advertising doesn't yield the same click-through. They have to spend more on getting new people to market, whether or not that's acquiring names to their database through the production of expensive documents such as this, which are then circulated and people have to subscribe to view them, or whether or not this is buying additional lookalike audiences through data management platforms, for example, where you get access to an almost infinite number of people that look just like your ideal customer. And yet when you market to those people, you don't get the return on investment that perhaps you might have done. So I think that there are some gems in this report, but I think those gems are hidden beneath the headline things, which in fact can be fundamentally really misleading. You know, I'm sure if you asked a bunch of brands that had had a really dreadful 2020 or 2019 or 20, so this is not COVID based, but you know, you ask Hilton and Marriott and British Airways, what marketing would you be deploying to help to grow your B2B engagements? You get a very different answer than if you spoke to Netflix and Budweiser and Amazon, for example. So my point is, I think that there are some gems in this, but I think you have to look very hard to find them. That's my
okay. That's a great summary from everybody. Thank you, Adam, for that. And by the way, if you're in the audience and you're watching this, love to get your views on the Gartner research. Elevate the role of B2B marketing in account growth. There are links. I have put links in the details. You can have a look, and love to get your views, and love to get your views on what the team here is saying as well. Let's dig into the research. Page 3, for UK people that no smirking. Gartner says, despite opportunities for account growth, B2B CMOs struggle to attain their annual account growth targets. So even though they're being tasked with selling to existing clients, which we're always told is the easiest thing to do, that doesn't seem to be happening. So what are you seeing with your clients? What do you think is basically holding people back?
Well, number one, I would say the language that's being used by marketing is the same language that's being used, 7 years ago, and it doesn't have the impact for the reasons that you might expect. At the end of the day, clients, customers, whether existing or otherwise, are looking for that rope being thrown into the quicksand so they can be pulled out, and that's what they're looking for. And the language from most marketing is really less about that and more about, oh, you're working with us, you're great customers, aren't we great? You should buy more stuff from us. And that isn't an answer. That isn't the solution. That isn't anything more than more marketing.
Adam, I think there was a quote from one of your friends that if you saw someone drowning, you wouldn't actually try and sell them a life belt. But you'd actually help them, and then what you'd do is that you'd pass them a towel.
Absolutely.
But what was the quote exactly? Because
I think you pretty much nailed it there. At the point that somebody's drowning, it's not the time to try and sell them a life belt. It's the time to pull them out of the water, towel them down, and make sure that they're feeling confident and comfortable again, and then they might be open to having a conversation about it. And I think again, this report, one of the things that it assumes, and you said, Lenwood, about the underlying suppositions that were made in terms of this report. It assumes that if you are a vendor or selling a product or service to an organization, the fact that you will expand in that organization, that makes the assumption that A, there's a need for expansion, and B, that the company has unlimited budget available within that department to solve that particular problem. I think both of which are ludicrous assumptions to make. Now, if you are McKinsey or IBM or even Oracle, where you have a huge suite of products that touch many different areas within the organization, that's actually not an unreasonable assumption to make. But if you are a vendor which specializes in helping organizations roll out in-store cashless payment machines, you've done it all this year. It's like, how can you possibly expand within that environment unless the organization buys more stores or has more point of sale opportunities in each of those different stores? So I think that some of these suppositions are rather sweeping. And I guess that to a certain extent, how much of, because I think you, Thomas, said about this successful embedding yourself within an organization is all about making sure that you have relationships, lots of them, deep relationships where there's a huge amount of trust in place. Is that a marketing role? I think probably not. I think that's an account management and a client relationship and a client success job, marketing's job, certainly from what we see working with our clients. Marketing has a finite bandwidth, and what clients want to see is material which is perfectly suited to them, their industry, their vertical, their geography, their brand, their target market, all of those things. And the more of those things you get in place, the more engaging that content is for the client. But the problem is, as a vendor of any product or service, you haven't got a million clients that all look identical. They're in different geographies, they're in different industries, they're in different sizes, they have different challenges, they have different spread. They themselves are selling to different target markets, which means that for marketing to be truly effective, you have to have a different piece of collateral for every single one of those clients, and potentially for every single person within every single one of those clients. No marketing department in the world can produce that, surely.
Hey, Tim.
Mike.
Hey, here's my one sentence version of what Adam just said. It's a quote from Brian Kite. You ready? Mindsets and skills to catch something are different than to keep something. And that's what I get out of this, right? Just to make it for people that are operating at my intellectual level, which is lower, like how you acquire clients, right? How you acquire new clients that don't have experience with you, that you don't have proof of delivery, proof of concept, is vastly different from how you keep clients. And that's where I think that the integration of all silos in the organization into one cohesive unit is extremely powerful. Because if marketing's out there doing what Adam's saying, being tasked to deliver all of these different, widely disparate kind of pieces of content, they're going to go crazy and they're going to be less effective. And so I think there's a strategic aspect to this that's really important. If you want account growth, which every big company should want, if you want account growth within your current accounts, you have to shift out of just keeping mode. You have to be thinking about how do we earn that extra business.
Interestingly, the report has a great line on, I don't know which page this is on, it says, growth requires change is the title. And it says, whilst customer satisfaction does double the likelihood of repurchase, it has no effect on account growth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that suggests that the marketing team are in fact just continuing to produce sales collateral in new areas of the business. Because I certainly know that when we're trying to renew a client, the most telling thing is, do you have, when you land a client, you're selling the promise of achieving something. You're producing an ROI in a business case, and you're saying, if you do this, our past track record shows that you'll get this, and the client buys from you on that basis. When you've been in there a year or 2 years or 10 years or however long it is, then you should have a track record. You should say at the beginning, we said if you do X, you get Y. You did X, you got Y. Therefore, if you do more of X, you get more of Y. Because you're
and we've done it. Therefore, you're just buying more of the.
Absolutely, you can be very confident that unless the dynamics of the environment changes very significantly, then you will get more of the same for your investment of time and trouble and of course money. But expanding and growing within an account, is that just a sales role again? Is it like selling into a new client?
So along those same lines, as far as what marketing's putting out, on page 3, that last bullet of key findings, marketing can boost customers' decision confidence by building content, messaging, and tools that help customer drive organizational change. What struck me was, in my experience, content for clients from marketing has almost been an afterthought, much like you were alluding to, Adam. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many things that they can put out there, especially when it comes to this type of content versus lead gen efforts. And I think that's due not only because of the bandwidth, but also, at least in part, because of the difficulty of attribution and measurement of brand awareness versus direct response. So what it boils down to really is, I think more companies would have success with marketing to existing clients if there was a way to measure the value of a conversation.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that, Rob. Yeah, Lenwood, you're looking very quizzical.
Yes.
Well, I was trying to focus on what Rob was saying and try to understand it. I think that maybe I might be missing something here, but it seemed to me that Gartner was saying that I felt like they were actually trying to draw a picture of something that looked more like a customer experience, that marketing has a role beyond the initial customer acquisition, and that was somehow being lost, but nobody was really picking it up. So I kind of felt like they were building a more integrated approach to the customer life cycle, not just and that saying really that marketing has a role beyond the purchasing process and really more, or the buyer journey, and saying that they have a role to play in the entire customer journey, and they shouldn't be sort of bringing the client, helping to get the lead, and then sale takes over, and then marketing disappears. And when targets aren't being met, marketing's called back in to say, hey, go back into that client and get us some more opportunities. If they can, because when you look at decision confidence boosters on page 9, they're talking about integration support, buyer enablement, and customer improvement and affirmation. Those sound like things that happen after a purchase.
Yeah.
Related to the thing they purchased in the past. That was the thing that's kind of confusing me about this article, is that it seemed like they were saying you have to if you help your client have a more confidence about the decision they made with you the last time, there's a better chance that you'll be able to get something new. Now, I might be misinterpreting that, but
I read it the exact same way, Lenwood. And I think on page 9, that's one of 2 roadmaps that Gartner clearly delivers in this document. Here is one of the ways that marketing can impact that. Basically, those 3 points in the decision confidence booster all pointed to me to emphasize 2-way communication, not just the talk at you marketing speak. And I think you're exactly right. Gartner is saying, hey, marketing, your job is to do more than just get them to the threshold. Once they are in our house, you make sure that they are a comfortable guest looking to stay for a while.
See, that's not what I got at all from that. What I got from it was that kind of confidence in what they've already bought is valuable. Adam referenced that they're very likely to stay if you deliver on your brand promise. But what I was reading here, I could be wrong. It'll happen again.
No, I think Mike. It's really important that we've all read the report ourselves, and we all jump to conclusions ourselves. And it's really interesting to see what other people are thinking.
Well, here's my take. I think that they are making a case on page 9 for the marketing department to integrate with sales on creating a new expanded brand promise, not relying upon the confidence in what they've already bought and sold on a repurchase, but instead partnering with a current client to cast a new, larger vision for new expanded products and services. And that's completely different from the sales process to get them to convert. Remember, I was saying keeping them is different from catching them. You have to recreate a new internal sales process to grow the account. That's what I saw.
Okay, so we've had a really interesting comment. Sorry, I can't. It actually says LinkedIn user, doesn't say who it's from. So if you put in this comment, and if you type your name as a comment, then I can give you a shout out. And I'll read it out because I can't put it all up on the screen. From our clients, current new, all of them want to see where we are going as a company and how we are going to serve their needs better. Clients are seeing so many companies selling off or acquiring companies for growth. It is an exciting time to be in marketing because we are showing our clients how we are going to serve clients better moving forward, and we are acting on their suggestions. Clients want to partner with companies that are growing and have a strong strategic plan. I like page 12, EQ, emotional intelligence is huge, and I'm building into our culture in an areas that I think is where we are headed according to this report. And as I say, if you put your, it doesn't say who the name was. So if you put your name in the comments on LinkedIn, I'll give you a shout out.
I think that comment was really valuable. I told you about this, Tim. I had a phone call from an old friend the other day, and they're working for a large consumer packaged goods company. They're an agency for them, and they're in quite a specific niche. And there's been a reorganization, and they've been able to land grab a bit more as it's moved from a Western Europe run enterprise to a Europe-wide enterprise. And they're also on the strategic global roster now, or pitching for that. One of the things that the company wanted to know from this supplier was, and I believe that the question they asked was, what are you going to be investing your time in over the next 2 to 3 years? Thinking that would highlight hot topics. You know, we're at the cutting edge. We know what it is we're going to be investing our time in, and the client wanted to know, or the prospect for this role wanted to know that, and they also wanted to know how those initiatives of change within the company were likely to be implemented, which is exactly what that user question that you just got, Tim, is about. It's saying, you know, we want to partner with a company that's going places, not with a company that.
And I've seen it a lot where, and it's a really good comment where I've actually asked permission with my clients to create an innovation forum where we've been allowed to put forward innovation, not to pitch, but to put forward innovation. I think it's and in most companies they respect that. But moving on, Gartner says customer buying behavior increasingly shifts towards digital channels. So does the relative importance of marketing in driving account growth? Commercial leaders are turning to marketing to help grow unpenetrated accounts and hit revenue growth targets in a more cost-effective way. This is off page 4. What are you seeing out there in terms of the move to digital, or has it moved to digital, or what is it that you're seeing, and what is it that what's your expectation is as business as usual now?
Well, I would just chime in there. Number one, I want to say that what Adam said earlier was spot on in that, you know, and Gartner's report is a good example of this. It's a very broad statement with broad generalities that can be applied in different ways in any way that any of us on this panel and where else can apply. At the end of the day, trying to fix something that has fundamentally changed across the board in terms of digital transformation and how companies operate and how they should be working with customer experience and their customers by fixing what isn't working is the wrong approach. We need to rebuild what isn't working, not fix it. And the idea that you can change marketing so that it can be so customized for each customer, as Adam so rightly pointed out, as to drive and deliver the exact message they need at any given day in any given meeting is not going to run. That's not going to work. That's not going to fly. So in the end, it comes down to a fundamental shift in how both marketing, sales, customer service, inside sales, all work within that realm of whatever we define customer experience to be. The days of business development or outside sales people simply bringing in, as I've described so many times before, the dead carcass from which they developed off a lead that marketing gave and then dump it on the desk of inside sales and customer service. That's all over. That's gone. That's history. That all needs to be amalgamated and integrated into a team and into people that can do a lot of the overlap jobs and actually support each other such that they're continually driving a message into existing customers on the basis of what they can continue to do and take advantage of all those great things that company can bring forward.
Anybody else? Adam?
Yeah, that thing that you just read out. As customer buying behavior increasingly shifts towards digital channels, so does the relative importance of marketing in driving account growth. I mean, this is a statement of the blindingly obvious, isn't it? You know, I'm making all of my decisions now from digital channels, as we all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you want to be successful, you have to market and have conversations on those digital channels. Well, duh. Yeah, it's not rocket science. And I think that fundamentally the challenge that isn't being addressed here, and I think, you know, from Gartner's perspective, they've done some broad strokes research, and they've drawn some conclusions from it, some of which are like that, blindingly obvious, that don't need to be said. But we all know from our experience that even if it doesn't need to be said, it does need to be said because not everybody's on the same page. I think it draws some conclusions, some of which I think we can broadly agree with and some of which we might have issue with. But I do think that, further to your point, Thomas, it's not about chipping. You know, you've picked up a lump of slate or whatever, and you're chipping the corners off, and then you're going to make it down into a brilliant cut stone and give it to your wife and hope that she's going to accept your proposal, but it's still a piece of slate. You know, we're fundamentally the way that we are communicating with organizations isn't effective anymore. You know, we have to have micro conversations between our company and your company. You know, if I'm trying to sell stuff to you, there have to be micro conversations. You know,
so how Adam do you have a micro conversation then? Well, because I mean, so what happens is that marketing is given the job to connect to all these people, and you said quite true that what we do is that we have to create a piece of content which matches a particular, right down to an account and a person. So what marketing people do is that they create personas.
They do, but if you think about this report as itself, which is basically an insightful piece of marketing material, you know, on the face of it, it's we're going to do some work, we're going to create some content that you're going to find valuable, you're going to consume that content, and therefore you will think better of Gartner. And this is such a fantastic metaphor for how all organizations market. So let me read a little bit of this to you. Recommendations. B2B CMOs responsible for account growth should, here we are, this is the bit we're waiting for.
Drum roll.
Map strategically important customers' change-orientated journeys, e.g. multi-year strategic challenges, to identify and design support for change-related tasks. 2, observe indicators of organizational change using customer data collected via online self-assessments, feedback surveys, and input from account representatives to target change-ready customers. And lastly, prioritize content creation and adoption to boost customers' decision confidence during key change-related tasks and potential stall points. It's like, I don't even know where to begin unpicking that. It's the most convoluted, unclear piece of advice that you can ever hand to somebody, particularly somebody, to reference Tim's earlier comment, that's drowning. You know, they're saying, we can't expand within an account. Well, here are the 3 things you need to do, marketing person. And they're none the wiser.
Mike.
So we know how to sort this out. The people that are at the coalface, the people that are engaging with the customers, you empower them as a marketing team, you empower them to create the content that the individual they're engaging with needs to hear to give them confidence to make the decision that you want them to make. You know, if you are going out on a date with somebody, you don't say,
"Send me."
So, 10.2, Lenwood has just ordered another drink. Therefore, I say, hi, Lenwood, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. That's not how a date works. What you do is you look at the person, you understand where they're at and what decisions they need to overcome, and then you help them there by giving them advice that they can action or insights that they need. And that's the job for marketing, I feel, is shifting. You know, brand marketing has its place. You know, Nike has to do stuff which says just do it and has a swoosh on it. Tactical marketing increasingly doesn't work the way it used to work. Their job now is to empower individuals to have insightful conversations with their opposite number in the client to give them confidence that they're dealing A, with the right person, and B, with the right company. Seems pretty straightforward, really.
Do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say real quickly, like, I agree with everything Adam said. My version of it, just quick, Linwood, is I agree that marketing's role is changing, and they need to look at it not as a threat, but as an opportunity, because micro conversations cannot be facilitated by a department. They cannot be created by a department. You need to move out of the creation of content realm in marketing and into the enablement of conversations. And this is where marketing is huge. And this is why it took me so long to make the shift, is because I don't have a marketing department. I don't have a graphic artist. I don't have a video person. And so I thought I couldn't communicate because I didn't have all these technical experts. For marketing departments that have got this expertise, what you can be is you can be the confidence bridge for the employees of the entire organization to be able to communicate and to feel free to communicate, to be human, and you will destroy your competition. You will destroy them. Marketing is confidence.
Marketing departments are going to get bigger, not smaller. And I think that's the point. Marketing departments look at this and they say, without campaigns, without events, without advertising, without this, that, and the other, then there's no role for people in a marketing role. And I completely fight that. I say that
the coaches.
You need an increased number of people. The more you increase that department and have the right people empowering the people that are customer facing, the more powerful the message comes, the more undiluted the message is as it arrives at the customer, and the more, and I hate to use the word control, the more control you as a brand and a company have over that message. If I say to you, Mike, go away and write something, I've got no control over that. If I sit with you and help you craft that piece and we agree what the points are that you're trying to make, then I've got a modicum of control over it. And if I coach you through that process, I haven't got complete control, because the point is not to rob you of your own voice and your personality.
There's got to be authenticity as well.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
That lineman at the phone company might be your best marketer, right? Because it's huge.
Lenwood.
Yeah, well, this actually is related, which is, do you think that marketing departments currently have the skills that they need to be able to do the things that you're suggesting, and maybe Gartner's report was alluding to?
Some skills, yeah, absolutely. We all need to learn new skills, don't we?
Well, marketing understands the language. Marketing can speak the language, and marketing can help people figure out what to do.
Rob,
Adam, I think you're speaking at the street level view of what marketing should be doing, whereas this Gartner report is going in the same direction. It's just looking at it from the 10,000 foot view. As I alluded to, I saw two different areas in this report where Gartner points to the roadmap on how to get there, but it doesn't give you the details of it. And that's some of the things that, as I hear you, you're filling in, and that absolutely needs to be filled in. But first, you have to tell marketing that this is the way, to quote the Mandalorian, I suppose.
So one of the things I picked up was on page 6. Which is, and you alluded this to this in the kickoff, which is that they come up with 3 metrics to actually. So they say, based on factor analysis of customer sections, we tested 3 potential drivers for high quality growth: customer satisfaction, willingness to change, and decision confidence. And actually, what they found was that customer satisfaction doesn't actually have a bearing on people but doing anything. The interesting thing that I thought was the fact that what it requires to sell something is a willingness to change, and the takeaway that I got was that what marketing that they're doing at the moment to actually sell into existing accounts is going, buy my stuff, 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 and of course everyone says, I'm too busy, go away. And what they do is that they've missed the point, which is to actually buy something, you probably have to replace an existing supplier, or you probably have to change something to actually buy the way that you work. What do you think?
It's all about risk management, right? That's why the status quo is winning so much right now, is because
do nothing. You mean?
Well, like, there's all risk unless you are offering something brand new and innovative that's not out there in the marketplace, which increases a whole different risk practice, right? That fear of isolation, all that kind of stuff. It's what you said. Like, I always used to joke about this in networking groups. Don't be the relationship assassin. You don't increase relationships by destroying the other people. You have to find out where the opportunities are, and that's where I think marketing has a tremendous opportunity. You have to look at it as reducing the risk of letting you have more.
Well, I think though that page that you drew our attention to, Tim. So remembering that this is a quote about account growth, or this is a report about account growth. So it says that customer satisfaction has 0 effect. Now, I'm sure that has a massive effect. Well, we know that has a massive effect on renewing purchases. So if you're spending
And it says that.
$1 million a year with me, if we've had a successful spend of $1 million last year, then you'll spend $1 million this year. That's the biggest potential driver. The next one down is willingness to change. That has zero effect on account expansion. Now, that might well have a big effect on first purchase or new initiatives within an organization, recognizing that you have to change and that there is a pain involved in not changing. But the decision confidence is the big thing for account growth. Now, I'm not sure from this exactly. So it says the belief and feeling of affirmation that the buying group is exercising sound judgment. So that might not be that they think it's going to be, well, maybe it is because they think it's going to be successful, or there are proven track record things, but it would suggest that neither of those are the case. So what does that actually mean? So
well, where's the risk for buying committees? Where's the risk when you're a buying committee? You guys, Lenwood probably could jump on this big time, or Thomas potentially, but like the buying committee's got jobs. They want to keep their jobs. And so whenever you're replacing a vendor that's not horrible in favor of another vendor, isn't there some risk associated with that? I think that's kind of what they're going at here.
Well,
but this is about account expansion, isn't it? So we're not talking about replacing. We're talking about
how do you expand your account if you don't replace somebody else?
no, it's something new. It's like it's like a new challenge. Should we have this existing vendor be allowed to go into this new area, and and the decision around that? And so what the report was saying is, we're just as likely to go get somebody else as to go with someone who's already in the account. And what it sounds like they're saying to me here is that, once the decision has been made with respect to whatever it is you're currently in an account for, then if you want to expand in that account, you're going to need to do some work on making the buying committee feel like they made a good decision, like their decision-making process, not just that you're good, but that their decision-making process was a good one. I mean,
thanks, Nigel. Like, yeah, I love that spin. Situation, problem, implication, need, payoff.
Yeah, you guys are missing a fundamental fact, though. You're talking about different people. So marketing is talking to one set of people, and then there's the people that actually use the product or service that you won the deal with, and then there's the buying committee, right? And they're not connected, they're not integrated,
Absolutely,
they're not.
Yeah.
And the message isn't getting across to all of them. It's getting across to one or two of them, maybe, but it's not getting there. So what we do as a group, as a team, as an organization, is we teach customers and clients how to communicate online in the digital world. And we communicate one-on-one and engage with every level of our customer. And that's what the message from this should be, right? You need to come down from 30,000 feet, come down on the ground, communicate with everybody in the organization, not just one. And that marketing message needs to be attuned, but it can't be attuned by just marketing. The frontline people, whether they be in sales or business development or sales, technical sales support or inside sales or customer, doesn't really matter. All of those people need to be engaging with clients in real time, online, addressing that message in a way that is now customized to the various teams that we do need to be communicating with, and they're not the same, but they all deal with different people. So as a totality, we can make that message sing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes to Adam's point about marketing really being an enabling part of the organization, that it's not, this function that just does this one thing, because the whole organization needs to be engaged in some kind of conversation with the customer that is marketing related, and that's, kind of all the time.
Rob.
I see this Gartner report right here.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, I've got one of those as well.
You like that book, Adam? Is that a personal favorite?
Yeah, that's
who wrote that?
Tim Hughes, Adam Gray. Oh, a couple of
We are
guys
not
here.
above shameless plugs here.
Rob,
So I see this Gartner report aligned with exactly what you guys are saying. But again, at that 10,000 foot view, on page 6, it's saying you could go left, customer satisfaction, you could go right, willingness to change, or you could go in a completely different direction, decision confidence. And it's saying decision confidence is the way. It does not bring it down to the street level view, but you can't expect that from a 15-page report. That's where people like us come in and paint some of those details. So what would decision confidence look like as it comes from marketing? I wrote down things like, well, share content that reinforces the client's good decision in the first place. Share success stories. Interview clients. Host forums. We know somebody from Telstra Purple that had done exactly that. Let the clients brag. And yes, have those one-on-one conversations with them so that it's not, again, talk at you. It's communicate with you. It's hear from you. Open up those channels to hear as well. Gartner's not saying don't do those things. It's just a 15-page report. They don't have the ability to paint all those details. I'm happy to sit down with somebody and paint those details.
So in the last 14 minutes, there's a quote here from Gartner that says, nearly 70% of B2B customers feel overloaded with organizational complexity, facing roadblocks with, like unclear decision-making and conflicting priorities. Customers can be convinced to make changes in individuals and may give up once they consider the difficulty of aligning diverse stakeholders and perspectives. I think that's something that we can all understand and all recognize in any organization. So how is it that the skills that you do will make sure that the people that we're talking to, the marketeers and the salespeople, will be able to go into organizations and unblock those roadblocks?
Isn't the job to educate people and to give them confidence? And I think that back to the point that we were discussing earlier around this being about lots and lots of small interactions with individuals, the key thing here is to recognize that we are none of us perfect. We all have gaps in our knowledge and our confidence. And to assume that my one piece of collateral or
brochure,
whatever it is, will be perfect for dealing with Rob's lack of knowledge and challenges, and it'd be exactly the same lack of knowledge and challenges that Mike has and Thomas has and Lenwood has and I have and Tim has, is ridiculous. What we need to do is we need to recognize that the people that are facing the customer in that one-to-one environment have a coaching role to play. Where are the customer's knowledge gaps? Where do they need reassurance that they've had some success or a good engagement? Where do they feel that they themselves contributed to the success that their business has had by implementing some of the things that the project we've done has delivered? All of those need to be on a one-to-one basis, and only then can you ensure that everybody is empowered to stand up and say, yeah, I'm backing this particular supplier, this particular project. Because without that, it's just one generic broad strokes document that does nothing. It tries to engage everybody and it succeeds in engaging nobody.
Mike?
I'd say, based upon my experience selling copiers and stuff like that into large organizations, that, like, if you wanted one takeaway from this, make it easy for the buyer, make it easy for the buying committee. And so here's a couple of key points. If they can see that you are connected and in relationship with all levels of the organization, that is going to show them that you understand the complexity involved, because all that 10-person plus buying team, they are instructed with shepherding every single person in organization whenever they're undergoing growth. And so my encouragement would be connect with everyone that you can in an organization.
On social, you're talking about.
Totally, because you're not going to be able to do it any other way. You can't walk in, you can't email them, you can't call them. You have to do it on social. So connect and then seek to understand, because the best people that grow accounts are the ones that reduce fear for the buying committee. They reassure them about what they've already done. Len would really address that, right? And then they show them how they understand already pre-purchase to make the complex easy.
Rob.
I got nothing.
I think give you a chance to speak.
No,
Thomas or Lenwood?
You look good.
I don't have anything either. I think Mike really said it. I was captivated. I thought he was going to keep going. I was like, wow, that's really. But he's absolutely right. I mean, take out the fear, take out the complexity.
So what about having a profile on social? What about having a network? What about creating content?
Oh yeah,
what about those things?
You have to do all those things. You have to do all those things.
Okay, so what would you recommend then, Lenwood?
Have a profile that's
and what do you mean by having a profile?
You have to have a profile that's that is engaging, that's welcoming, that people look at and say, hey, I want to know this person. And that should be relatively easy. I mean, let me hold on a second. Getting the profile right, that part may be a challenge and something that you work on over time.
But once your profile, surely all I need to do is just cut and paste something off the website. No. Products. No. But that's a good profile, isn't it?
No, the profile's got to say something about you. It's got to say something about. It's got to communicate your why. Okay. And yeah,
it's my resume, right?
Yeah, that's not going to work. But you could try it.
What do you suggest?
Well, I suggest that you have a theme to your profile,
okay,
and that you use your different experiences to communicate, how you came to be the person that you are today, and hopefully that's a profile that's hopefully that's a person that has some purpose in life that's compelling, and you should make an effort to communicate more about who you are than just the things that you've done. Right.
So a good profile has to be authentic. Would you agree with that, Lenwood?
I would agree 100%.
Well said.
So not a resume?
Not your resume.
And it's not a billboard for my current employer?
Not a billboard for your current employer either.
Put a resume up if you're trying to get a job. If you're trying to get a sale, be human.
That profile's got to communicate who you are. I mean, it's so important because there also can't be a disconnect between the person they meet and that profile.
So,
right?
So,
it's just
Mike, I've got a friend who's I've got a number of friends who are headhunters, and they actually avoid people who've got CVs as LinkedIn profiles. And the reason for that is that they are only recruiting people who understand digital. So they're only recruiting people who've got personal brands. And if they don't have those things now, you're not even going to be approached by the headhunter.
I've just searched on LinkedIn for head of sales, and there are 4,630,000 people with the job title head of sales.
How many are at quota?
The first thing I was told when I went into sales was to be different. So you've got 4 million, people who are head of sales who all don't understand what it is to be differentiated.
They said, be different, now cold call.
Yeah.
You know what? Just to sort of make a larger point on the article from Gartner and our discussion, and one of the things that comes through for me in social media and our profiles and the way we communicate with people and be authentic and present ourselves, we are now more chameleons as people than we've ever been required to be. So, and the Gartner article speaks to this in some ways. And that is that we are now marketing people, we are now salespeople, We are now customer service people. We are now engagement people. We are now bringing information where it needs to be. We are now asking questions and enabling and engaging. We are much more broader, if we're to be successful, than we've ever been asked to be before. All right, and one of the people on here, Nigel Steele, talked about how marketing and sales needs to be aligned. I'm of the mind that marketing and sales need to be one, and that speaks to your shameless push there, Adam, with respect to marketing. But they absolutely do need to be. This is no longer about just silos and just different people. I just really feel like more and more people need to be digitally savvy for sure, but they need to be able to communicate at all levels. And when you can do that, you instill confidence, and confidence is what grows customers.
Hey, Thomas.
Yeah.
I give you 24 hours to get that blog out about the chameleon before I strike. You got 24 hours, baby. After that.
Just to explain to people watching this that I have a saying internally that when someone says something and it's a great way of creating a piece of content, I say there's a blog in that. And Thomas has said something, and there is a blog in that.
Yeah, 24 hours.
There certainly is now.
And thanks, Nigel, for your comment about he's backing your comment up, Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas's comment I thought was extraordinarily. It's the biggest thing I got out of this entire thing was the reality that every single person is in sales and marketing now.
Yeah. So when Thomas was speaking, I was reminded of the industrial age, and we compartmentalized and specialized, and now we're moving away from that again. And it reminds me of what I read about the Renaissance area, the era, the Renaissance man, where you need to be exposed to all different areas. So it's funny how what comes around goes around, and maybe I'm just drawing parallels that aren't there, but it absolutely feels like we are at the precipice of a new renaissance, in my opinion.
I think it's already occurred. People are just catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what digital's done, right? Digital's knocked down all of those walls. They're gone.
So in the last 2 minutes, do you want to remind everybody who you are, and also let people know where they can get hold of you? LinkedIn or email or whatever. So Rob.
So I'm Rob Durant. I am a DLA associate and the founder of Flywheel Results. You can find me at flywheelresults.com or LinkedIn/Rob Durant.
Mike
Garrison. You can find me on LinkedIn. That is definitely my favorite place to interact. If you want to look at a boring website, go to valuesbasedmindset.com.
Okay. Linwood?
I'm Linwood Ross. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm usually there, Linwood M. Ross. And you can also go to our website, accelerate.com. I'm also the founder of Accelerate and a DLA Ignite associate.
Thomas?
Well, hi there. I'm Thomas Ross. I'm a partner with DLA Ignite. Always proud to work with the great members of this incredible team globally. I am also the founder of a company called socialsaleshq.com. And I'm busy writing a blog about chameleons.
Brilliant.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I don't know if we're going to be making this a regular occurrence. We're still experimenting with Restream, but thank you to all the panelists, and thank you for Gartner for providing us with some content for us to dissect. And I hope you found the insight useful. I certainly did. It's great how you all went away and came up with completely different answers. It was absolutely fantastic. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.